Did you know? The reason two perfectly rational people can both make the right decision and still end up worse off comes down to a single idea called game theory. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Game theory is the study of decision-making in situations where your outcome doesn't depend only on what you do, but also on what someone else does. That's the key. Because most decisions in real life aren't made in isolation. They're made in response to other people who are also thinking, predicting, and reacting. Game theory tries to map that invisible interaction. It asks a simple question. If everyone involved is trying to make the best possible decision for themselves, what actually happens? To understand it, imagine a very famous scenario called the prisoner's dilemma. Two suspects are arrested. They're separated. Each has two choices: stay silent or betray the other. If both stay silent, they both get a light sentence. If one betrays and the other stays silent, the betrayer goes free and the other gets punished heavily. If both betray, they both get a medium sentence. Now here's the strange part. The rational choice for each individual is to betray. Because no matter what the other person does, betraying gives a better or equal outcome. But if both people follow that logic, they both end up worse off than if they had cooperated. That's the core insight of game theory. Sometimes, individually rational decisions lead to collectively worse outcomes. And this doesn't just apply to prisoners. It shows up in business, politics, traffic, relationships, even social media. Think about companies competing in a price war. Each company lowers prices to gain customers. That seems rational. But if every company does it, profits collapse across the entire industry. Or consider traffic. Every driver wants to get ahead. So people switch lanes constantly, but if everyone does it, traffic slows down for everyone. Game theory explains why, because your best move depends on what you expect others to do, and they're thinking the exact same thing about you. This leads to one of the most important ideas in game theory: equilibrium. An equilibrium is a situation where no player can improve their outcome by changing their strategy alone. The most famous version is called the Nash equilibrium, named after mathematician John Nash. At a Nash equilibrium, everyone is doing the best they can given what everyone else is doing. But here's the twist. An equilibrium doesn't mean the outcome is good. It just means it's stable. In the prisoner's dilemma, both players betraying each other is a Nash equilibrium, even though it's worse than cooperating. So game theory reveals something uncomfortable. Stability doesn't always mean optimal. It just means no one has an incentive to change on their own. Another powerful concept is repeated games. In real life, most interactions don't happen once. They happen over and over again. And that changes behavior. If you know you'll interact with someone again, cooperation becomes more valuable, because betraying them now might hurt you later. This is why trust can emerge, even in competitive environments. It's also why reputation matters. Game theory shows that cooperation isn't just about being nice. It can actually be a rational long-term strategy. Now let's make it more interesting. Game theory also explains why people sometimes act irrationally on purpose. Because being unpredictable can be an advantage. If your opponent can't predict your behavior, they can't optimize their strategy against you. This is why in some situations, randomness becomes a strategy. In sports, in negotiations, even in warfare, players sometimes mix their decisions deliberately to stay unpredictable. This is called a mixed strategy, and it's completely rational, even though it looks chaotic from the outside. So now the world starts to look different. You begin to see decisions not as isolated choices, but as moves in a larger game. Every action sends a signal. Every choice affects expectations. And every outcome depends on the interaction between multiple decision makers. Game theory doesn't tell you what to do in every situation, but it gives you a framework to understand why people behave the way they do, why cooperation can fail, why competition can backfire, why stable systems can still be inefficient, and why sometimes the best move isn't the one that looks best on its own, but the one that makes sense in response to everyone else. Because in the end, life isn't a single-player game. It's a network of overlapping decisions, constantly adjusting, constantly reacting, And once you understand that, you're no longer just making choices. You're playing the game.